All right, I'm Pop's going to talk about some of the big comics of 2024. I'm going to stay away from the ones I think that are uber trendy. Let me give you an example: the Absolute Universe at DC, the Absolute Superman, Wonder Woman, and of course the Absolute Batman. Everyone's kind of a buzz about, but I don't think they're really going to have legs. Let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. I want to focus on something I think that's got some trend to it, and that would be looking at if you don't already have it, you might want to grab it now. It's something worth looking at several years down the road. All right, the biggest one for me would be Doom number one, right? The 2024 Marvel, I don't know, single series. Doom's trying to get more power than any human has ever had before. He's trying to stop Galactus and the death of the universe. And it's sort of like also tied to the late rapper MF Doom and some lyrics. So this has also been really, really of interest because of some of the stuff that Marvel and the MCU has announced. And I feel like there's a good chance that that will come to fruition and this interest will continue to move forward. The cover is Sanford Green, I believe, did the art, and it's truly, truly beautiful stuff. It's popular. It's super solid right now, and I think it's something that would be good going forward. All right, Ultimate Spider-Man number one. While it does feel somewhat trendy, especially when I just criticized the Absolute Universe over at DC, I think Ultimate Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe is big enough now, got enough legs, going to be around for a while longer. And similar to the original Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Universe go around, this very first issue that kicked it all off is probably still going to have some legs. Now, this is pretty pricey, but there's a million variants. There's different covers that you can get in on, but this original version may run as much as $70. It's completely crazy right now. And I do think the trend is still kind of on an upward trajectory for the foreseeable future. And unless the Ultimate Universe just continues to unravel and deteriorate around them, because the fan support has been there, the sales have been there, even for Ultimate Black Panther, and to some degree, even Ultimate X-Men. So there's still stuff to kind of unpack, and we'll see how things go. And by this time next year, we'll really know if the Ultimate Universe has a future or not. But this book will probably still be a pretty key issue, even beyond the next year or so. All right, this is Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn number one, a variant cover from Todd McFarlane, right? It's a black and white sketch cover. It is a 1 in 50, so it's relatively uncommon. It's got a cool sort of feel to it. And of course, it's Todd McFarlane. Plenty of room there as well to find yourself to get an autograph or to find one that's graded and already signed. It's like, it's just literally that kind of book that's going to be around and have some interest for quite a while. It's the first issue in this series. I think that Gunslinger comes in with a lot of fan love, and maybe the sales aren't quite as strong. We've seen some fall off and some interest, myself included, but I would say this is one that I think is going to do really well. Upwards of about $50, $60 for this one for sure, but I would actually lean more into, personally, I'd be leaning into more like a graded copy, and particularly if I could find one that's actually signed by McFarlane. All right, I don't always sort of highlight these rather expensive books, but G.I. Joe number one. This is actually a promotional book. It was a giveaway through an exclusive screening of the G.I. Joe movie, the 1987 movie. Skybound and Hasbro had put this together with the Universal City Walk and AMC. This comic is inspired very much by the animated movie's original promotional material. So this comic has sort of like all the feel and love of the nostalgia from the G.I. Joe fans in the animated series, and also just being exceedingly rare and hard to find. Upwards of like, I don't know, $500. I mean, 300, $400 is definitely the norm for sure. Hard to find, expensive, and yeah, that's just a good one to kind of keep an eye on. All right, I'm going to seem like I'm reneging on what I said earlier with Absolute Superman number one, but this isn't the regular issue. This is actually not even like an easy one to get. No, no, no. This is a 1 in 100 sketch variant cover by Jim Lee himself. So, Jim Lee art in and of itself, it's a sketch variant again with all that white and that space that's around there. You don't have the logo. Perfect for signatures, perfect for additional little sketches if you were to meet him and get things gone. And again, 1 in 100. Retailers had to order 100 copies of Absolute Superman to get a copy of this. This has run well over $100 now, but I don't think that demand's stopping. I can see this easily running itself up to around $200 or so. And if you want a graded signed version, this would be that type of wall piece, wall art for sure. All right, this is a bit of a sleeper pick, if you will, or one to kind of like, I don't know, if you can find it, it might actually be worth grabbing. The Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu. This is a sort of a promotional one to a store surprise variant. This was actually exceedingly difficult to find. Now, the price on this one has been completely all over the map. I don't know what to tell you here. It is, it's just different. It's an interesting thing. Rochelle Rosenberg does this cover. Alessandro Capuccio also does art here in this issue. But really, it's just one of those that's actually with one per store numbers and having. I don't know. They're going to revisit Moon Knight at some point. They went through all this trouble to do a TV series. They left it as a cliffhanger. He's out there. Obviously, Oscar Isaacs is under contract. He's a fan of the Marvel and the Disney universes. He's in that. He's in all of that. So I would assume this could come back around, and this could be just one of those that people are like, "That is just cool. I want it. Where are they? No one's got them." And that's when you see things go crazy. So not as expensive, $40 or so. But I mean, prices are all over the map on this one. So be careful tracking this one down. But maybe earmark one if you run across it. So there's a hit series called Mark Spears Monsters, and it is really taken off in some circles. I just think it's a very low print run from Keen Spot, and it's a trading card set, and this was early 80s sort of like retired monster slayer type stuff, and it's got a very interesting feel about it, and a lot of people like it. I really haven't done any dive deep getting into it, but I can't ignore the fact that the trend on this in every possible variation, all the different covers, all of this is still headed upwards. So the traditional number one issue here would be a very solid bet. If you're interested in that, you kind of want to pick up a copy or not. I actually don't know much about it otherwise, but it's something that worth to take note of if you run across it. All in all, I don't think 2024 was particularly kind to the comic book industry. And while Comicsgate and indie creators are also doing their thing, and folks have a ton of those that are really they're passionate about and they're into, I think some of the excitement around that has also waned a little bit. And it kind of comes in little spurts when these campaigns are live, people are getting their books. And then after a month or so, who's talking about issue, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really have the legs like it did, let's say, a year or so ago. So even those circles have cooled down a lot. Manga isn't even getting sort of like the PR, and the numbers aren't really coming in like they were. I'm not saying any of that's cooled down or there's less interest in anything. I wouldn't even know where to guide anybody on that. I just feel like we're in the shift with the digital market, the AI market, creators going on their own, different people building little mini universes, the nostalgia feel, all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how over the next year or so the industry continues to evolve and find its footing out. What actually survives as to the Energon and the Transformers, GI Joe crossover stuff. Does it continue to go along like it is? Maybe it absorbs yet another little crossover. That'd be kind of cool to see with Hasbro. Maybe the Absolute Power does do well. Or maybe over in Marvel, they get their act together with some sort of major run within like the actual normal continuity, and we see something really take off and do well. But right now, that's just not the case, and I don't see that in the cards. And comics are a little hard right now to pick and choose, like where to tell people to jump in, what they should or shouldn't read, because things don't tend to last and keep the strength and the continuity like they used to have when I was really a diehard reader and into stuff. So this is my general take on some of the highlights from 2024. Love to hear from you guys. This is obviously more of a collecting and investing conversation than a reading or a recommend. I will put a link in the description of my conversation with James Mealy, where that is actually where I focus on, and that's where that will be.